finally, a new organisation to oppose this voice has been created. I applaud their courage. Now, I broke the news last week that it was coming, but the launch is today. This organisation includes Warren Mundine, former Labor National President, National Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price, and former Deputy Prime Minister John Anderson. And it includes a former federal Labor Minister in the Keating government, Gary Johns, who joins me now. Gary, great to catch up with you again. Can you tell us what is your organisation and why are you, a former Labor Minister, saying no to Labor's plan for a voice?
Andrew, the group is called Recognise a Better Way. The reason I wanted to help organise this is that clearly governments have set off to try to recognise Aboriginal people in the Constitution, and we've ended up with something that's way over the top, something that wants to change our democracy forever. So we want to point that out to people and say, look, for goodness sake, we understand there's a desire for an historic recognition, perhaps in a preamble, we acknowledge that. But the second bit is to say most Aborigines are doing quite well, thank you very much. There's a subgroup of Aborigines who are not doing well, so we are saying let's address their problems, not everyone's, and those are basically people on native title land. So we say, well, use the normal processes of Parliament, a parliamentary committee, or party committee, to address their needs and to talk to them. They have legislation specific to them, Commonwealth legislation. So let's use the existing Parliament. And as for voices, Aborigines are perhaps the most represented people in the country, measure for measure. Let's go and talk to their existing voices to find out what's going on.
Well, I think you hit on a point there, because I think the case is built on a lie that Aborigines have no voice. And look, just to sketch out what you just said, we've got more than 30 land councils, for instance. We've got 70 plus big Aboriginal organisations. We've got 2,700 Aboriginal corporations. We've got 11 members of the federal parliament who are Aboriginal themselves. And you've got a Prime Minister's Advisory Council. I could go on. But what people don't recognise is on top of that, this won't replace it, will come not just this voice to Parliament, to the Canberra Parliament in Canberra. This proposal includes up to 35 local and regional voices in regions around the country. The report recommends, the report to government on how to set it up, 35 other regional voices would also be necessary to accommodate the complexities of implementing the voice proposals. Gary, this is the most massive Aboriginal bureaucracy. I don't understand how it's all going to work.
No one does, not even the Prime Minister. I mean, we are putting all of this on top of the existing multiple organisations that already talk to government every day, talk to Parliament every day through various committees, have the full rights of any citizen to talk, and they're extremely well organised Aboriginal organisations. So why would you put another entire set of committees on top of that, a whole new architecture for Australian democracy? So look, it's a fantasy, it's a dangerous fantasy, and I don't want it to get in the way of a conversation that we at Recognise a Better Way want to have with Middle Australia that says, look, we understand your desire to help, it's just that the Albanese proposal won't help, but it will be expensive and it will get in the way of existing conversations. So for instance, go down to Alice Springs, some Aborigines will be against grog, some will be in favour of grog. Whose voice? Right? It's about the ideology, if you like.
You know, I heard Linda Burney, the Indigenous Australians Minister, say, well, this would have been stopped because the voice would have said no to grog. No, what if the voice had said yes to dropping the grog bans? Then what would you do? Gary Johns, look, all power to you. You're going to come up for a lot of abuse. You know that. So I admire your courage in doing the right thing and saying no to this plan to divide us by race. It's so important. Thank you for your time.